welcome to episode 75 of the Hops and Bops podcast. I am producer Tom.
I'm Joe.
I'm Mike.
Hey, yeah, we got Mike back. Mike, how are you doing? It's good to hear from you again.
Just a lot of things and stuff.
Well,
This
we're
could be our earliest episode that we've recorded, right?
It is. I think so. Something around there.
Yeah.
We started at 8, but you know what? There's no better way to start off your morning with some music and beer. And we're doing the self-titled debut album from Rage Against the Machine called Rage Against the Machine. And to pair with that, we have the Raging Bitch IPA from Flying Dog. It is a Belgian style. It is 8.3%. And I just can't wait to drink beer this early in the morning.
Yes.
Nothing
Tom,
else.
you've had this before. Is it twist off or is it I need a bottle opener?
I believe it's a pop top.
That's
So I do not believe you are twisting that off. I'll be honest with you. Usually, unless it says like Bud Light, Miller Light, Coors Light, Jacques Top, then I don't think you're twisting.
oh, you're pouring though.
Jacques Top might
You gotta
even
see
be-
the color.
It's true.
We are a beer podcast. We can't just, drink out of the bottle.
The art though. If you can
Oh, look
see
at
the
that.
art, it's like a
Yes, the bottle's really cool.
Devil
Wait, oh.
Dog.
Why is your top like a darker color? Mine's like a brighter one. Well,
Look at that.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
Which one is authentic?
Oh, we have like different look at that.
Oh, yeah. Mine's an IPA. Mine's just regular IPA.
That's what it should
Oh,
be.
mine's a
What do
Belgian
you have?
style. Okay, well,
Ooh, little variety
okay,
here.
that's the only one they had. I thought that was what it was.
Mine's coffee.
You have a coffee?
Couldn't get it.
Little amber color.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
but yeah.
That looks good.
let's take
That's a
test
beer
them.
right there.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's definitely Belgian style.
That is a fucking beer right there.
That's for sure a beer.
Joe, if I remember, it's
Yes.
a very hoppy IPA.
It is
Yes,
pretty obvious.
very hoppy. Very hoppy. That is my first impressions of it. According to Flying Dog themselves, Raging Bitch, and anything but delicate blend of the sharp hoppiness of an American IPA and the fruity funkiness of Belgian yeast, which creates an incredibly aromatic beer, bursting with flavorful notes of crisp grapefruit, woodsy pine, and exotic mango.
Ooh.
Tom, do me a
Hot.
favor.
Yeah.
Is yours also 8.3%?
Yes.
You are both drinking, I believe, the same beer.
Just
Yeah, 'cause
different
I'm-
labels, yes.
I'm looking on their website to see if they have like a different version of it. But I don't
Even
see
the
one.
with the website that's got Joe's logo on the bottle says Raging Bitch and then small Belgian IPA.
Belgian IPA, yeah.
So I believe you
Huh.
guys are drinking the same beer with just different labels.
When's your freshness date, Tom?
January 31st, 2022. So it's a
Mine's
little
today. Maybe they like just changed their label. I don't know.
Yeah.
maybe.
Just like
Tom's drinking an old beer.
Listen, Joe drank a beer from March of 2021 last episode.
did.
So
I did, and it tasted like it. Hops here we have Warrior, Columbus, and Amarillo. And then I do
Yeah.
like the little description on Beer Advocate. It says 2 inflammatory words, 1 wild drink. Nectar
says-
imprisoned in a bottle. And anything but delicate blend of sharp hoppiness and fruity aroma. This beer is a life-changing backyard knife fight for your palate. Once you've had a Raging Bitch, everything else pales in comparison. Fermented with a volcano-like Belgian yeast strain called El Diablo, Raging Bitch earned its popularized name from the aggressively active nature of the yeast, unleashed, untamed, unbridled, and in heat. Enjoy its golden
Heat.
glow and white foaming head alongside bold flavors like spicy barbecue wings, blue cheese salads, or that bag of family-sized Cool Ranch Doritos you're going to destroy later while binge watching Netflix. I like these guys.
That's a good description.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
So it's kind of got its name from the yeast that it came from, like the aggressive yeast that it was spawned from, El Diablo. I don't know, you could name different kinds of yeast like that, but
Yeah. And then on the website, right next to the beer in really small letters, it just says "so good once it hits your lips." Nice little old school reference. Love it.
Yep. Yeah, I like this. And then like the dog, bitch is a female dog, so
Yeah.
raging bitch.
Mhm.
I like it. And then of course flying dog too. Cool.
Yeah, from what I remember, it was a very aggressive IPA, though. It was very hoppy. It was something that you could have a couple of, but you couldn't. It wasn't an all-day drinker.
No,
it's just, and plus it's 8.3%. So I mean, 2 or 3 in, you're already feeling pretty fucked.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the morning.
I was just gonna say, probably not the best 8 a.m. beer.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna like go back to bed after this.
No.
I was gonna be like, maybe I'll go back for like a half hour and then get going. But no, I think I'm done.
Yeah, this like you wake up in the morning and you just got someone screaming in your face. You're like, all right. It's like waking up at boot camp.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So
I like it, but
it's
hey, man,
it's not bad.
I enjoy it. This, like Mike said, though, you can't drink a lot of it, but this is a beer.
You could do much worse than
I'm glad I've
bitch.
At least had. I mean, it's been years, but I'm glad I've at least had it, and I do remember. I mean, hey, that says something right there, though. It's been like a few years since I've had it, and I still remember the hoppiness and the aggressiveness of it, and it being one of those beers. I was like, wow, this is really good and different, but it's not something I can have like you buy a 6-pack, you better be sharing it with at least 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I do have a 6-pack of it, but now, you guys, we're all remote right now. So thanks a lot.
Way to go.
Right, we'll do a little trade-off with the next beer that I get.
There we go. Perfect. That sounds good.
Sure.
This beer, with it being aggressive, Tom, thank you for the idea, because it's actually a perfect match for this fucking aggressive rap metal 90s album that we have to talk about. It is Rage Against the Machine's self-titled debut. One of my favorites. These were both my picks, technically. Rage Against the Machine, 1992 release, so it's turning 30 this year, actually.
Oh,
which is pretty cool. 10 songs, just about like 53 minutes long. This is like one of my favorite. They're not one of my favorite bands, but this album is one of my favorites to listen to front to back. It's one of those, again, where you hear one track and then you immediately hear the next one starting, and I just think the album experience is so good. But yeah, this is their debut album, and recorded at Sound City Studio out in California, same place as Nirvana's Nevermind and some other albums. And what was cool is they actually recorded this album live together, and they even invited people to like watch the recording in, like fans, which was really cool. So it felt like a live concert as they were recording it, and they're just so tight. Especially the instrumentalists, who we have: Brad Wilk, Tom Comerford, and Tom Morello. I think I got their names right.
Yep.
2 Toms. Did I get that right?
Tim.
That's it. Tim Comerford on bass.
Credited as Timmy
think
C.
What's that?
He was credited as Timmy C.
Timmy C. I think he's a very underrated bassist.
I think one of the more powerful things about the album too, which we kind of don't mention too much, is the album cover. Yes. Which is and there's a lot of politically charged lyricism all over this entire thing. That's kind of Rage's whole idea around them. Yeah. The album cover is, and forgive me because I'm going to butcher this name, a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, 𝙍𝙖𝙜𝙤 Sure, you nailed it. He was
Wasn't bad.
doing some self-immolation in 1963 as
Mhm.
protest for whatever was happening in Vietnam in the 60s. You know, nothing
Yes.
happened then. um, which and it's just incredibly powerful because you know that actually happened. They didn't actually like stage it.
No.
So, you know, just
Yeah.
a kick-ass cover, and you
Mhm.
know, very very politically charged album, which you know we kind of don't pay attention to lyrics too much, or not that, but like you know, try to not steer away towards politically charged things. But I feel like
Yeah, and we're
it's
not
hard to avoid that for this one
for sure.
because that's
Yeah.
just their MO. But
Well, it's
I
kind of
mean,
like when we talked about system, you know, we,
Yeah.
you know, we put it this way. If you're just starting to listen to us, we don't get into the politics of it, but we, you know,
We discussed what it was
Yeah.
about.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
it was
These guys had a lot to say, and they found a great way to say it. They kind of turned rap, which was obviously big back then at this time, you know, with NWA and you know,
Tupac,
Snoop
Biggie.
Dogg and Tupac and Biggie and Beastie Boys, all that, and they turned it into a, you know, a rock band, almost in some cases like metal. And I don't know of another band that did it like this quite like them. I think at that time, you know. So I feel like these guys kind of really ushered in, you know, the way to bands like, you know, Linkin Park and
Limp Bizkit.
sure, Limp Bizkit. And, you know,
Uh,
Tom Morello kind of took on the role of the DJ, you know, with his guitar effects. Sure, he had some amazing guitar riffs all throughout this album, ones that are just so like tangible and sticky, and ones that just stay in your mind forever. But also, his effects make it sound like the record scratching and everything. And then you have Zach De La Rocha on lead vocals, and he's rapping, and he's rapping with purpose too, and it just makes for this unique sound for the time that worked really well. And I feel like their sound brought in a ton of different fans. You know, you got the rock fans, you got the rap fans, you got the message fans. So I really think they had a great thing going right from the jump.
shall we
Let's
get
do
into
it.
it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
For
Best
me,
track on the whole album.
yeah, I
Damn.
mean, honestly, yeah.
Sorry. There's no better song on the album than Bomb Track.
Really?
Best song on
I
the
might have to agree with you.
I don't agree with that, but
Okay.
it's a good song.
I don't know.
It was-
Come on, guys.
It was the third
Nope.
single.
Third single.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a slang term for a cool, like a dope track, because they
Yeah.
use that for the rest of the album too. You'll hear
Yes.
like in the beginning of other tracks, be like, "Yeah, we got another bomb track for you."
Yeah.
The lyrics expound the political struggle of Peruvian revolutionaries against an oppressive U.S.-backed government, so that's cool. But also the music is good. It's just really pounding, and the way it gets the album started, I think, is just like no other opening track. It's just so different. It hits you with every kind of specialty they have right off the bat, and I think it's probably one of the best rap rock songs of all time. I know I say a lot when we do rap rock style songs, like I don't really like them too much unless it's Rage or whatever, but like they did it perfectly. Like, how else can you put it? Like,
Yeah,
it's a
right.
great track.
This isn't like the corny rap rock that I think you don't like. And it makes
Exactly.
sense. This is how it started. You know,
This
is
influenced
legit rap
all the
and
corny
rock
rap.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is a hell of a way to begin the album. I mean, so many times we talk about opening tracks and whether it really sets the album up or the artist, you know, accurately, and this does it to a T. I mean, it has every element, like you said. You can't.
I would.
Yeah.
I don't want to commit to saying the best because
Yeah.
there's just so many things that you have to think about. But I would say top 3 best opening tracks. Period. Like I'd put it
Wow.
as top 3 to open an album of all time. Like it's just
Yep.
you can't beat this.
Yeah, I don't know of a better song on, like, if they shuffled around the track
No.
list. This is the one. I mean,
Mhm.
they wrote it, I think, with the opening in mind. It just sounds like an opening to an album, to a concert, even. Yeah, it's just badass. And God, Tom's guitar riffs, not you, Tom, but Tom Morello.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Mine suck.
Yeah.
His are great.
You just know it. I mean, you really hear every note he's hitting, and it's crisp and clear, yet crunchy and heavy.
I heard the door open. I'm waiting to see him walk down.
Oh, special guest. Yeah, I mean, great opening for sure. And there's a little guitar solo,
Yeah.
right? Of course there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he always makes his guitar sound like as unique as possible. Like you can
Yeah.
always tell, like whenever he's playing, which is definitely a sign of at least a good artist or a unique one.
Exactly. Yep. There he is.
What's up, bud?
Okay.
Yeah, this I think might be. No, I'll straight up say this is my all-time favorite Rage song.
Wow.
Has been since high school.
Mhm.
And repeating, burn, yes, you're gonna burn. They do a lot of repetition in their lyrics, which I think is it works for them and against them a little bit, but it gets some things stuck in your brain a little bit as you go. So
Yeah,
I think that's the
line-
point.
yeah, the lines that they repeat are the lines that they're like, don't forget this, don't forget this is the point, and they're just
Yeah.
they're hitting it.
mhm.
Well, it's almost like their songs are kind of like the anthems for a picket line, like,
For sure.
when you're out protesting, you have that, phrase or two that you're constantly repeating, and they kind of translated that over into music. So I think, that's why they do a lot of repetition. Yeah, man. And then next, Killing in the Name.
Yes.
Probably their most well-known song. I think this is the one they're known for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero. I mean, I remember
Yep.
playing this in the dorm.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm gonna have to really think about what my favorite track is, because I have a few in mind. But I mean, this is up there. I know it's overplayed, but this is the one that got me into Rage and
Yeah.
this album. And
It's overplayed for a reason.
Yeah.
right, exactly. Once the main guitar riff kicks in, it's just so heavy. And like it just, yeah, you just can't help but rock your head. Like it's just such a great
And they're
song.
very tight, like you said, with the drums, the bass, the guitar. The bass and the guitar run together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's like they're not even a second off. Like they're just
No.
right there.
And to know they did this live together, is
Yeah, they
amazing.
didn't crack it.
Yep.
I actually have a funny story about Killing in the Name of. Two things. First off, I did this as a cover for a school project once when I was in college, because they needed us to just cover songs and how to like record and do vocal stuff. So I was just screaming, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" in the studio at school. It was definitely a fun time. But two, so the thing they do in England is that they will during Christmas time, they will take the number one song and then have that person come into the BBC and do a live version of the song. And so usually it's whoever wins the X Factor, because it just comes out at the time. But people like kind of had this guerrilla marketing campaign to get this song to the number one charts to be during Christmas time and have them go into the studio and do it live. And so when they did it, you can't swear on live television, or especially on the BBC. So the guy that runs it was like, "Hey, can you guys not say the F word in your song?" And they were like, yeah, sure. No, we'll do that. And then as soon as they comes on, they're like, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." And the BBC got so mad that they're banned from the BBC airwaves. So
I don't think that's gonna hurt him at all.
Yeah. So they came out and apologized and well, not Rage, obviously, but the BBC came out and apologized for saying the F word on Christmas Day radio all across the nation. So
well, I mean, they should have known better to
Yeah,
Come
it's
on for Christmas. I mean, what do you think they're gonna do? Not say it? I mean, it's
yeah,
all throughout their album. It's what they're all about. Taking a stand.
yeah.
Rage Against the Machine. I
It
like
was,
it, you know,
In the name.
challenge the status quo.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was funny to see all the people like stream that song in mass just to get that on
Yeah,
the
right.
airwaves for Christmas Day. But I thought that was a funny story I would share for you guys.
Yeah. One of my favorite things about the song Killing the Name is the guitar solo. Like it's kind of the first example of him, you know, it's not your normal guitar solo. It's more of like an effect guitar solo, which brings in kind of like the DJ elements to the band. Like that was his role.
Yeah.
You know, big fan of that. And then the chanting, you know, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. You know, it's just a statement, you know, that coupled with Bomb Track beginning the album is just, you know, killer.
I feel like this could come out today and you wouldn't be like, oh man, they sound really 90s.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think the sound aged like
Yeah.
that much.
Yeah. Plus, what they're talking about, it's still like you're not going to stop police brutality for the foreseeable future. So it still
Mhm.
remains pretty potent in its lyricism and everything.
Yep.
And it's been 30 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what does it say about us? I'm just kidding.
We're old.
Yeah, I'm turning the hat. Okay, turning the table. I'm gonna sit backwards in my chair, gang.
We're here to interview you.
This is an intervention.
Yeah.
Well, it better be. You two are drinking at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
On a Sunday,
on the Lord's Day.
the
we should be
Lord's
in
Day,
mass.
the day of rest. Yeah.
That's funny. Taking the
And then-
power back.
We gotta take the power
Yeah.
back.
The power back. I love this intro.
Yep.
Bass.
Dude, the bass guitar, how he layers it, how it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the bass part itself throughout the song. You hear it, you know, and you don't often hear the specific bass part. It either follows the drums rhythmically, you know, or follows the guitar. This is its own animal. And I love that.
I was gonna ask you, Tom, is it just us or is the bass louder in the mix than a lot of other?
It's
more
not
prominent.
necessarily louder, but I think it's just mixed a little bit higher in the mids, just because you can hear that kind of slappiness to it, which I
Yeah,
think
right.
really adds a lot of like tone that you don't really hear in a lot of other tracks. But I think it's what makes it stand out a little bit more. Maybe it is a little bit higher.
I feel
But-
like having those mids up and having that slappy tone definitely gives it that funk element that they're going for, which is nice. But I just feel like the bass is mixed more prominently in this whole album than you hear in like, especially a lot of modern stuff. You know,
Mhm.
you focus on the
Metallica.
guitar and the drums and you kind of lose the bass. And here it's just like it's so forefront.
Yeah, definitely a cooler track. Not as exciting as the starting two, but I think I feel like this album is genuinely like front loaded for me at least.
I can agree with that. I was
yeah.
thinking the same thing when I listened to it.
But I mean, there are better tracks in the back half. But in terms of this song, yeah, I was gonna say that's like the major thing for me is like the more prominent bass definitely gives it a bit more of a flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, you clearly tell who this band is. I mean, if it wasn't by track one, it's by track two, certainly by now. I mean, you know what the album's going to be.
Yeah.
And I like that. All right, next up we have Freedom.
No, Freedom is the last track. We have Settle for Nothing after that.
Oh, whoops.
Yes,
Do I have it
Settle
on
for
shuffle?
You did.
I must have it on shuffle. I do have it on shuffle. My bad.
Ah,
It's okay.
That's fine. Settle for Nothing.
this song got, I don't have a ton to say about it. It got
Me
very,
neither. Kind of boring.
yeah.
It didn't really go anywhere. It's slow.
Mhm.
That like droning kind of verse didn't really do it for me. This track right here is preventing it from being like 9 or 10 level for me.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Tom, you have anything to say about it?
The only funny thing about the track that I thought was interesting was that around the minute 15 mark, or like a minute 10 mark, there that one, I think it was like he started screaming like suicide or genocide. At the very end of the scream, he goes, "Genocide." There's like a stutter that they accidentally like missed in there. If you hear it, he screams and there's a little blip. I thought that was just it was a funny like missed editing thing that I thought was pretty funny.
And
but
probably also, it also shows that they did it in, a live take.
Yeah.
It just wanted it to be raw.
Yeah, it stuck out for me.
Yeah.
But I will agree there's not a lot to say other than that.
Yeah.
It's a very monotonous song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd label it as a skip, like I have to skip it, but it's definitely not one I'm looking forward to.
Right. Yeah. The guitar is kind of cool. How it kind of like, kind of like birds almost. Like it's kind of like makes it like woodsy, like eerie.
Yeah, it's definitely I label it as like one of the darker tracks.
Yeah.
Kind of like a moodier Alice in Chains cut almost.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, next one, Bullet in the Head.
Yep.
There you go.
Another great one, begins with cool bass part.
Interesting, it was a single.
Yeah,
it was.
Just doesn't have that feel for me.
I would have thought like Taking the Power Back would have been a single.
Yeah,
that had a little more single drive.
This is the second single too, I think.
Taking the Power. Oh, this is Bullet in the Head.
I can get my arm to scroll up. Yeah, second single.
Yeah. I just love how the bass and the drums are locked in on this one during the verse. That drum beat is just so hypnotic, and not like the greatest drummer, but it just works.
Yeah.
And then Tom comes in with the little guitar accents with the effects, and
Yeah, it's definitely, because it's so rhythm driven, like you said. It's cool how rather than giving a guitar riff, he just kind of fills in the blanks.
Yeah. Yep. And then he really comes in with the chorus. That's when the guitar is more prominent.
Yeah, with that da, da, da.
Yeah.
It's very staccato. It all around doesn't really lend itself to being like a good song, like not a good song, but like a mainstream song, a single.
Right.
It's weird.
Yep.
Yeah, that like kind of choppier guitar solo from Tom's like that. It keeps intact like how unique of an artist he was, but like Mike said, it's not a very bye Mikey. It doesn't seem like a standout thing that would be for a single. Like it definitely was a kind of a culture shock, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
I will say that I think my favorite part of the song is the breakdown at the end. It's just like I could just see this in concert where you're just like, fuck yeah.
You might see it in concert.
I'm thinking we are.
I want to go.
I'm in.
Yeah.
We're not.
So the 8th and 9th is a Monday, Tuesday. Even better.
Yeah.
I prefer. I'm not working.
I like it.
Can you take that day off?
I'm sure I can.
Hey, we don't know where he's going to be. Come on.
It's true. That's.
I know.
I hope not.
It can happen.
One thing I will say as a knock for me for the album is that if you're not necessarily into a track, all the tracks are pretty long in terms of their play time, or their how long they are. Like,
that is agreed.
4 minutes, 5 minutes, 5.5, 4.5. You get to like the second half, you got like the 6-minute tracks.
Bomb track is the shortest at 4:02.
Yeah. So maybe that's just me being a part of like the freaking ADHD generation and having no like attention span anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if you're listening to this band or this album track to track, you're not a person who is singles driven, radio driven, in and out. Like you want to listen to the experience. Like if you skip this song after 2.5 minutes, you're missing this whole like jam break and this whole breakdown. and then they like build it back up, and then they come back in with the groove, and then they go to double time to end the song. Like you're missing that. And
the only thing I will definitely add to Tom's point is, like we talked about earlier, where repeating themselves can either be something that's a positive for them or hurt them. Yeah, I keep getting notifications like as we're talking. And like that's a song I could say, like Bullet in Your Head. I love the double time at the end. I love the breakdown. I think the repeated bullet in your head over and over and over and over could have either been shortened, or that's kind of a hit or miss for me.
yeah,
You know, like I think that's where the repeating, I don't want to necessarily say hurt them, but didn't help them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Who knows? They could have like sensed the people like watching them that were there, you know, and they kind of just extended it a little bit. And, I don't know.
It does play into the live aspect to it. Yeah. Last thing I'll say about this is that it was they had a demo that came out before this, also titled Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
This track was transferred intact from the band's demo. So
oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the only one, but that's what it says in like the liner notes for this. So
Cool.
that was interesting.
Did not know that. All right. Awesome. Next one.
Know Your Enemy.
The path this song takes, just from section to section, riff to riff, they're all different, but they all fit well together, and they're all memorable. Like that, you know, the verse riff and then the intro riff before that. I don't know. It's just a great song.
Yeah, it is.
Gritty.
I like this one.
I'm seeing here on good old Wikipedia that Maynard James Keenan is on it.
Lead singer and Tool. Yeah.
Really?
Featuring Maynard James Keenan.
It doesn't say that on the album, I don't think, and it doesn't say that on the you know, like on my Amazon Music or anything, but it says it on Wikipedia, the original track listing featuring Maynard James Keenan.
I wonder what he does.
It also has percussion from Stephen Andrew Perkins, who plays with Jane's Addiction.
Oh, interesting.
So thought that was kind of neat. This is the only track on the album that has additional musicians on it.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But I like this one though. This definitely, like you said, definitely has more parts to it. Like that, I feel like there's like a 1, 2, and 3 almost to it. But you know, keeps up with
this must be Maynard. Da, 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 da.
Oh, during like that little breakdown part.
Yeah, and that must be where the extra percussion is too.
Oh yeah.
There's extra percussion in the background. This sounds like a Tool song all of a sudden.
That's definitely wow.
Never noticed.
Yeah.
That's funny. A little
That's
tidbit.
totally him. And then the little percussion, that's definitely Perkins.
Yeah, because that's his scream.
Yep.
That wasn't De La Rocha. That was his scream.
I always thought that part sounded different. I'm like, who is that?
It goes from Rage to Tool to Rage.
Yeah.
A little Tool breakdown.
All right. Very cool. And then it just goes into
even we on the hops&bops podcast learn things on the fly.
You know what? Shout out Wikipedia.
That's how we do it.
I'll drink to that.
It just goes into a quintessential Morello solo again. I mean, just the things he does. No one does that, you know. Good shit.
I think that just bumped that song up even higher for me, knowing all those different things now.
Yep.
Just gave it a little more stock.
Yep. Agreed. This one was already up there for me. Next song.
Yeah. Wake Up.
Wake Up. This is kind of like a run of the mill. Nothing really stand out about it for me.
Yeah. It's weird. It's one of those songs where I get the vibe Joe's getting, but then I catch myself like,
absolutely.
Like it, I don't know. It's one thing I like is I like how he harmonizes and doubles his like certain lines in his raps. Like he'll track them twice, and sometimes he'll harmonize, sometimes he'll just track twice, and he does it on like the right sections of his verses. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he does a really good job with that. And this song shows that off right in the beginning.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the second verse said something like lacking that finesse or something. That's where he overdubbed it.
Yeah, and then he does like a lot of which you didn't hear earlier in the album, some like call and response with himself.
Mhm.
Which is kind of cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's got elements in it for sure that are definitely a little different and kind of change up, but it's definitely not like a killer track on the album.
Right. I thought it ended well with that kind of breakdown where they're all just jamming at the end there.
Mhm.
Another guitar solo too. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid song. It definitely complements the others.
Mhm. I think this track has one of the more interesting like lyrical tidbits to it, because they're kind of doing a song about like a critique of racism in the government, and how like the FBI's like counterintelligence programs would spy on like political organizations, and so they actually sample not a sample, well, I guess it is a sample of an FBI memo where J. Edgar Hoover suggests a need to suppress the Black nationalist movement, which I thought was like a really cool way of putting that into the lyricism and kind of giving the song a whole nother meaning.
Yeah, right.
But
Like, wake up,
strictly,
here's what's going on.
yeah, strictly
Yeah.
in terms of music, it's kind of what you've been getting for the last couple tracks. Doesn't really separate itself, at least for me, too much.
I think it has a little bit of a darker like overtone, like sound, but
yeah,
still the same rage feel that you've been getting.
yeah.
Yep.
But
Is this the one that ends with him saying like you reap what you sow?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah, I always like that ending.
it's a reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Township Rebellion.
Yep.
I like how this opens.
Yeah.
Kind of cool though, because like that
Yeah.
you almost expected that to be played like 2 or 4 times, and they do it once and bam, the lyrics come in.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. Like you're like, oh, it kind of catches you off guard.
It's a really unique verse too, because the Brad Wilk on drums he's got all the cowbells going. It's not really a hi-hat groove. The bass kind of has like a rubber band kind of effect on it, and then Tom Morello has that just one accent note coming through, and then it comes in with that just sludgy like guitar for the chorus.
I think this might be like after Know Your Enemy, so 7, 8, 9, and 10, those last 4 tracks, this might be the hidden gem in there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like this is the like, all right, you got something back before it finished.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good one.
If you're wondering what a township rebellion is,
do tell us.
I was.
So in South Africa, you know what? Someone's got to do it. In South Africa during apartheid, non-whites were not allowed to reside freely throughout the cities. So they were required to live in designated areas called townships outside of the cities, you know, and they're often denied basic services like sewers or clean water or electricity or all these things. So Zach is kind of advocating for kind of an uprising from that, and, you know, advocating for education for the masses and spurring them to take action and all these other things. And I always love the chorus on this one. Why stand on a silent platform, fight the war, fuck the norm. I always thought that was very powerful.
Yeah,
especially all
one of their better lines.
Yeah, all the power that he puts behind it. Definitely, it sounds like he meant it to have a lot of meaning. So definitely a good track to put near the end.
For sure.
Well, this is one thing about Rage is that yes, they're massively politically driven. Their lyrics are very, very, very powerful. But even for those, because we've all said it as a podcast, you know, we don't really push the political end of things. We don't really talk politics. And I know me personally, I'm not really into that. And it's not that I agree or I disagree. It's just, it's not my area of expertise and it's not what I do. But yet you can still just rock out to this music and enjoy it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the only reason I kind of bring that up is just because that's their entire thing. You know, they push that angle hard, and it's not. I will agree that we try not to do that, but when they have that as kind of their biggest thing about them, it's hard to not bring up. And I definitely agree with him.
No,
a lot of
I
what he
agree.
says
It's really cool to, whether you agree or not with what they're saying, it's really cool to see what they're talking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they seem smart enough to know what they're talking about too, and not just
Mhm.
kind of a blanket statement about everything.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
And oh, by the way, like Mike said, the album rocks. Like
yeah.
so it has a little bit of everything for everyone.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then last track is Freedom.
Yep.
I'll wrap it up.
I love how this song opens. All together, great riff.
Little single. I didn't know that.
Yes.
The last one, right?
Yep.
Title wise, great way to end.
Yep.
Fits the theme.
I thought it kind of dragged a little bit though, like the ending.
Give it that.
A long song. It's the longest song besides Wake Up. They were both 6 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And in some cases, I think some of their songs would have almost been more powerful if they were a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Would have held on to a little more of that. Well, we keep going back to that kind of repetitive stuff that they do, which is repetitive to get it in your head, repetitive to make a point. And like Tom said, maybe it is the more modern, maybe this is where the album ages. You know what I mean? The idea that these little longer songs with a lot of repetition, maybe back then during these political rallies, that was the chant. It made the point, got stuck in your head. This is what we mean. And now modern time, we're like, okay, got it. Next, with the ADD and the move kind of thing, mindset that we have now.
Right. The over flooding of information. There's so much to process that something can't stay around too long because you got to take in everything else.
And I think really that might be the only area in which this album has aged.
I like later when the band picks it up, 𝙍𝙖𝙜𝙚 𝘍𝙜 says, bring that shit in. He always did that. He was like the hype man too, got another bomb track. He was just always doing that, and then when the main song ends and he's singing freedom, that kind of dragged for me. I get it, it's the grand finale, but I think this part kind of made the song a little drawn out for me, especially as the last track.
I do right around about 3.5 minutes or so. I like the like Tom said, the pause, but I love all the percussion, the cowbells and stuff he adds in. Stuff that you don't really expect in this style of music. Like when Chad Smith did it in Hump to Bump, you expected that. It's Chili Peppers, it's funky, they're playing a bunch of different things. But then you've got, Rage, which is metal essentially, and all of a sudden you're hearing think 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 think. You just don't expect it, but it fits really, really well.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. And there you go. That's the album.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's get into tracks. What a journey that was. I love that.
Let's get into some tracks.
All right, let's do it.
Joe, you start off.
I'll start off.
He came down because he couldn't button his thing.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like I'm selling out, but I think I have to pick Killing in the Name as my favorite track. But this is very hard because there's at least 5 songs on here that I could label as favorites. It's just a very, very solid album. But I'm gonna go with Killing in the Name as my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, that's totally legitimate.
Yeah.
I will go with Bomb Track because I think, just the way that they started the entire album off with, I think is definitely a key aspect in keeping the energy up for most of it. I don't think there's one down, and that's not to say it needed like a ballad or something to keep the energy from going up. But it starts up here, it stays here for the entire album. You know, just a lot of cool sonic bits to it that I really enjoyed, and you know, just good kick in the pants to get you going for the rest of the album. Also, lyrics are good too.
Yeah,
For sure.
Bomb Track's my all-time favorite Rage song. Has been since high school. You know, listening to their albums back then and everything else, this song just always stuck out to me. And like I said, only because I'd have to think about it before making this an official statement, but definitely one of the top 3 best opening tracks on any album ever. Potentially number 1. I just have to.
We should do an episode where we just talk about our favorite like album openers. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've talked about that. We've talked about title tracks. Yeah.
Got to
Well,
do
title
our
tracks.
Hall of Fame, our
Hall of
super
Fame.
group,
We
the
gotta do
super
that.
group,
That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Or the super
super group
yeah.
with Gary.
Yep. And we got to do our covers, long overdue with Joey.
Eventually, we'll get there.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
get there.
Bomb Track though. All right, so now our last.
Yeah.
Bottom.
Settle for Nothing. It just was kind of I mean, yeah, not much to it. I mean, I know it's the one song they kind of needed to put in there to break away from that same sound on every track, but I don't think one song was going to make a difference. And if it was, it had to be better than that.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it's for pretty much the same reasoning. Settle for Nothing for me.
I actually went with Fistful of Steel.
Okay.
I just thought it wasn't really stand out too much, and also that kind of siren-y guitar that he goes for, it was just kind of bland, and it sounded a bit too hip-hoppy in the verses, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, there's not necessarily a track that I necessarily hate for the entire album, but if I had to pick one, it would be that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any necessarily you have to skip songs. I think the album as a whole is meant to be what it is, and it does well with that. But
Yeah.
We got to pick a bottom.
Yeah.
In terms of
Tom.
Sleepy Dark Horse, was Know Your Enemy a single?
Was not.
All right, I'll go Know Your Enemy. I was gonna say Bullet in the Head just because I didn't know what the singles were, but then I saw that. But yeah, no, Know Your Enemy was definitely a really good. It definitely jolted you up, especially near the. It's more towards the middle of the album. Yeah, very very fiery, very politically charged again. And I love the vocal performance too. Just a really good track.
Yeah, I was bouncing between that and Township Rebellion.
I was gonna say that too. Yeah,
those were my 2, but I think Know Your Enemy took the took the little extra, now recognizing that they had Maynard James from Tool in it,
That's
and
right,
the percussionist from Jane's Addiction, and not that featuring an artist is like a must, but they did such a good job with it, and it was kind of interesting that neither of them had any actual credit on the album. So I like Know Your Enemy. It's a great song.
Yeah.
Thought it should have been a single.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so I'm picking 2. Know Your Enemy is one of them. I think we all agree on that, but I also like Take the Power Back. I just think those 2 songs could have easily been my favorites if I didn't go with Killing in the Name or even Bomb Track, something like that. Those 2 songs are just great songs in and of themselves. Definitely worth a listen if you're not listening to the whole album. So shall we rate it?
Joe, start us off.
8.5. 8.5. I love this album. I really wanted to give it a 9, but I just didn't. I don't really have a reason why, but 8.5 for me. I think some knocks are a few of the songs really dragged out a little too long. I didn't really like the song Settle for Nothing. If they made that song better, like Mike said, I think we're talking 9 territory for me. But yeah, I haven't listened to this album in a really long time. So it was really awesome to get back into this. And this is one of those, like a few of the others we've done, where I listened to it from start to finish. And it's a really great experience for me. So 8.5, definitely up there. One of my favorite albums of all time. In fact, I think Rolling Stone voted it number 24 on top 500 albums of all time.
It's top
Yeah.
top like 100 metal albums, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But
From
Yeah.
us.
I enjoyed it. There are some elements that I didn't necessarily enjoy, but I'm gonna give it 7.5. Um, just fantastic lyricism, great messaging behind it, and also to pair that with really good musicianship and just an excellent performance from all of them. You can't really hear that in modern music too much anymore. I like it does kind of play into a live aspect where they do have all this chemistry that works really well together. And one thing I will knock it for is that, like Mike said before, it does get a little bit like, once you hear 3 tracks, you've pretty much heard most of the other tracks. There are minor elements to them that you can switch up a little bit, but the sound stays the same. They don't really have too many switch ups. But like I said, this is probably the only band that I will enjoy like that rap rock like style that a lot of people tried to imitate and didn't really match too well. But yeah, 7.5, definitely a really solid album from them.
Nice.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the whole time and trying to put in my head where I was going to put it, and the number that kept popping up to me was the same as you, Joe, 8.5.
Okay, yeah.
Just a great album, top to bottom. I've been listening to it since high school. Like you said, it's been probably a year or so since I probably listened to it straight through, and it was just like every song just came back to me. I was like, oh, I remember this one. Oh, I remember this. Like even the ones I didn't even notice the title, I just remembered that riff, that song, that note. But still, just like you said, top to bottom, kicking the ass. Really not a down note. Even the songs, that are kind of not killing in the name level are still good.
Yeah.
So yeah, 8.5.
Cool.
Solid. Definitely sounds like one of our top rated albums collectively.
For
sure.
How
And
about
our beer.
The 2 different style choices for some reason. I don't know why they went with
I
that.
think just labels, but they're the same beer.
Yeah. Raging Bitch IPA by Flying Dog. Definitely boozy. I mean,
Sure.
I didn't even, it could just be the time of day, but I mean, I'm not even
I got about
through it. Yeah, but it's tasty. I do like, that's a fucking beer. I mean, a lot of people give IPA shit because like New England, oh, it's too fruity. Like that's not a real beer. This is a beer, and it's a good beer. So I am gonna give it, I think I'm giving it a 7.5, 7.5 hops. I haven't been saying hops and bops recently. We got to get on brand. 7.5 hops for me. Great flavor. I like the hop combination. You do get that kind of caramely flavor, but if you don't drink it quick and it gets kind of warm, it's definitely boozy and kind of heavy. I almost said 7, but I don't know. I think I gave it the extra 0.5 just because of the branding. I don't know if that should be mixed in with the beer, but they stay true to who they are. And I like their little quips and their little sayings and everything. So I gave it a little edge. So 7.5 for me.
I don't know what kind of mood I would have to be in to drink this, though, if that makes sense.
Rage mood.
Yeah. Am I in some kind of masochistic, like, want to just be in well, not masochistic, obviously. I do consider it a good beer, but it's aggressive. It's not really like, you have the crushable, more laid back style IPAs that we're a bit more used to. I think that just might be my palate choice by this point. But this one, it really is like how the marketing says. It's aggressive. It's in your face. It's a raging bitch for a reason. So if you're into that kind of style, I'm not necessarily a huge Belgian kind of man, but I can understand why they would be so popular. And like you said, you can't drink more than a couple of these without going too crazy. But I think we'll give it about a 6.5 for me.
But just going off of what I remember from drinking it, since I wasn't able to grab it, I would probably be around a 7. We could put a little asterisk next to that.
A little Barry Bonds asterisk, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just to next time I try it, then we'll.
Yeah. I think it's fair though.
I think it's about a 7 is where I'm at. You can have one or two and then you move on.
All right,
I like
let's shout them out real quick.
Shout them out real quick. We have Rage Against the Machine. They do have an Instagram right now. It's just Rage Against the Machine. RATM.com on tour,
RATM.
reunion tour, RATM.
You might see us there.
Yep. And they have a few other albums too. Check them out. I mean, this is just such a great album. Check it out. And then we have Flying Dog Brewery, Flying Dog Brewery on Instagram. And we have flyingdog.com out of Frederick, Maryland.
It's my middle name.
Oh, Frederick. Really?
Maryland.
I never knew that.
My middle name's Maryland.
Already.
He's named after your mom.
Seems like another cool brewery that has cool branding, kind of like Abomination. Like they really stick to the dog theme and cool artwork and stuff. So check that out. Yeah,
I've seen a couple of their other beers around, like the I think it's Snake Dog or something. They're definitely around. So maybe eventually we'll circle back to them.
Circle back. Episode 76 up next. Wow, we're getting into our last quarter here. Crazy.
Oh, Mike's run. Oh my
Mike's
God.
Getting it.
That's the fastest I've seen him run in a little bit.
I did legs yesterday.
I did too, actually.
Mike, this is all you next episode. What do you have for us?
All right, we are going to go with one of my favorite albums and one of my all-time favorite, probably my all-time favorite metal band, Pantera, and their debut album, Cowboys from Hell. They had a few albums before that, but we'll get into that during the episode. And then the beer I found, going off the Hell theme of Cowboys from Hell, was Hell or High Mango by 21st Amendment Brew.
Cool. All right.
Seasonal release, brewed with real mangoes. Little Statue of Liberty mangoing it up over here.
All right.
Pretty cool. So yeah.
Tom got the variety pack because he couldn't find that beer.
And it's not even. I thought it was in it. It's not in it.
We just have
I saw the orange thing on the bottom. I was like, oh, they got the orange.
Oh, that's it.
Lincoln. That's Lincoln, not Lady Liberty.
So we have a nice little 21st Amendment.
Free or Die is what it was called.
Yeah.
So Tom has to drink one of each and tell us how they are.
Oh, I can do a little bit of a flight. I can do that.
Cool. Good shit. All right. Another episode in the books. Great shit as always. We have been the Hops and Bops podcast. Check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And Tom, did you start a Twitter now too?
I did. Follow us at
You're
Hops
on
and
the
Bops.
Twitter.
Just Hops and Bops.
Twitter.
Hops and Bops.
And
then listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I think we're on Google Podcasts. Stream us
also
on YouTube, our videos. Yes, Tom, go ahead.
If you're on Spotify, I've been putting like Q&As and polls at the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
So if you scroll under, you can see like what's your favorite song, what albums do you want us to review. I'm going to put like things you can just fill in for Q&As and then we can eventually get to them. So if you want to just ask us questions or answer the poll down there, I would definitely do that. Just on Spotify though.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, interact with us, and of course interact with us on social media too. DM us. We get back to you right away because
we're not famous, so we want friends.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time for our next episode. For Mike and Tom, I've been Joe. See you next time.
Peace.